Side number 1, Doc Williams Simplified by Ear Guitar Course Self-Teacher Record. This is Doc Williams. Thousands have learned to play the guitar by ear from my Simplified by Ear Guitar Instruction Course without knowing a note of music. So can you. I know you can learn if you'll only try. Play the guitar a little every day. Every time you see your guitar, pick it up and play a few chords, if only for a minute. In this way, you will develop calluses on your fingers, and also you'll get your fingers used to the proper positions for each chord. Also, as your fingers callus and strengthen, you'll hold your chords down tighter, making them sound clean and clear. Another important thing, is your guitar neck or fingerboard straight, or is it warped, thus making your guitar hard to finger? Now, to check your guitar fingerboard, look down the fingerboard like a rifle barrel from the tuning end. It should be straight. If it is not, you may need to buy a new guitar. Now, the first thing, of course, to do is to tune the guitar properly. So let's begin with the E string. That's the fine string, the first one, the E. Now, you have the E string tuned to that. Now you place your finger, second finger is all right, on the 5th fret of the second string. That's the B string, right there. That's on the second string at the 5th fret, and make the first E string sound with the B string like this. Now the two strings are in tune. If you notice, they're in unison. They sound the same. All right, now place your finger again, the second finger, on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and make the B or second string sound with the 3rd string like this. You notice they're still sounding together. That means they are now in tune. Now place your finger again on the 4th string at the 5th fret and make the 3rd string or G sound with the 4th string like this. Now place your finger on the 5th fret of the A string and make the D and the A string sound together like this. In unison, of course, again. Now place your finger on the 5th fret of the big bass E string and hit the A and the E together like this. When you're through, your G chord should sound like this on page 8 of the Guitar Instruction Course, the book itself. Hold the chord and sound it like that. On page 6, you'll find the C chord in my Simplified Guitar Instruction Course book, and it should sound like this when it's in tune. That's the C chord. Now, if your chords do not sound like that, you are still out of tune. So place the needle back at the start of the record and let's tune all over again. Or it could be that the fingerboard or neck of your guitar is warped. As a result, the chords will not tune properly regardless of what you may do. Now that we are in tune, the next thing, of course, to do is to find out about time. 90% of the songs and tunes you will do on the guitar will be played in 3/4 or waltz time, 4/4 time, 2/4 or hoedown, and 6/8 time played on Irish jigs and reels, and so on. Let's start our lesson on page 6 by showing you how 4/4 time is used in the key of C. Hit one of the bass strings first, the treble strings once. I am getting old and feeble now, and I cannot work no more. I've laid the rusty blade at hoe away. Old Massa and old Missus, I'm sleeping side by side. Their spirits are now roaming with the blessed. You'll notice we hit one bass string and the treble strings together once, like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and so on. On page 8, we have, of course, waltz time, which is chorded like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're hitting the D chord. Now, you know Birmingham Jail, so we won't sing it for you. 1, 2, 3, waltz time, and of course you only use 2 chords in that song. On page 10, we have Home on the Range, and of course we use the key of E. And that again is played in waltz time the same way, except it's in the key of E. 1, 2, 3, hit the bass string once, hit the other bass once, and hit the treble strings, the 3 fine strings, twice. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now go right ahead from there and sing Home on the Range on page 10 in the key of E. On page 12, you'll find the key of F, and this is the hardest key to play, one of the hardest keys to play next to B flat, which is a rhythm key. We'll show you later. The 2 chords, B flat and F, are extremely difficult to hold down. Keep practicing on this one. Now let's see. We use 4/4 time. From this valley they say you are leaving. We will miss your bright eyes and sweet smile, for they say you are taking the sunshine that has brightened my pathway a while. That's the key of F on page 12. On page 14, we have the song I Wish I Was Single Again, and here again we use waltz time in a key of G. It's a good key to learn for a beginner, the key of G. Waltz time, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and go right from there and sing the song, I wish I was single again, and so on. Side number 2, self-teacher record, Doc Williams. On page 16 of our guitar course, you'll find the Little Brown Jug. Now, everyone knows this particular tune, so I won't demonstrate it to you, but it is played in 4/4 time, or if you wish, faster time, or 2/4 like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, in other words. Girl guitar players may have to use 3 fingers on the A chord to hold it down properly. Let's go over to page 18 rather, and we'll find Frankie and Johnny. Now here we use rhythm chords. Rhythm chords, of course, are played like this. Frankie and Johnny were lovers. Lordy, how they could love. Swore to be true to each other, just as true as the stars above. He was her man, but he's doing her wrong. Actually, that is not true country-style music. However, rhythm chords like that are used in rock and roll and pop music and so on. And of course, the way to play rhythm is just hit all the strings together. That's 4/4 time. We won't attempt to teach rhythm guitar to you at this time. Check with our rhythm chord slidogram the gift that you received with this guitar instruction course. On page 20, we see miscellaneous minor chords. We'll just kind of sound some of them for you. There's the A minor chord, used mostly with the key of C. It is a relative of the key of C. The B minor chord, minor chords are real pretty, but you'll have to know how to use them. Don't try to use them if you are a beginner. The B minor chord is used mostly with the key of D. The D minor chord is a relative of the key of F, and that's the way it sounds. The E minor chord is a relative of the key of G, and is used mostly with that key. Also, the F minor chord is a relative of the key of A flat. Now, here is a diminished chord, as you notice on page 21. Now, we are on page 20 and 21 of our course. A diminished chord is used quite often in music, and you'll need only learn one diminished chord because it repeats itself every fourth fret like this. Listen. Therefore, any note in that chord names the chord. In other words, the first position would be, as you notice on page 21, G, E flat, B flat, and C sharp diminished. Enough of that, I think. On page 23, you will find several fine practice songs, such as The Little Rosewood Casket and Cowboy Jack. Let's play Cowboy Jack in this particular case, only this time if you have a capo, let's put it on the first fret and play the key of A chords. Now we are playing in the key of B flat, which is more suitable to my voice. Waltz time. He was just a lonely cowboy with a heart so brave and true, and he learned to love a maiden with eyes of heaven's own blue. The capo, in a way, is the same as a gear shift on an automobile. It changes keys or speeds in a sense of the word. In other words, you can play 6 chords on the guitar and be able to sing many, many songs that you otherwise couldn't do. Of course, if you were a better guitar player, naturally you wouldn't use the capo, but I use the capo many times for the tonal effects that I get. I like the sound, for instance, of the B flat key with the capo there, like that, playing the key of A. You'll find other practice songs on page 24 you can use, of course, and songs with notes like My Old Brown Coat and Me on page 25, 26, and 27. Of course, other songs, all recorded by me, can be purchased from the Wheeling Recording Company in Wheeling, West Virginia. Let's turn to page 38 of our guitar instruction course, and 39 and 40. Now, on page 38, I want you to learn, after you've played guitar for a year or more, the notes on the top 4 frets of the guitar fingerboard. The reason, so you can play bass runs later and also bluegrass or country guitar lead. You'll also be a better guitar player if you learn the notes on the fingerboard. Also, be sure to read many times answers to questions asked most by students on page 38, 39, and 40. We promise you some 6/8 time. Here's the way it's played on tunes like Irish Washwoman and this particular melody. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. My name is Frank Bowler, an old bachelor I am. I keep an old batch and an elegant plan. You'll find me out west in the county of Lane, a starving to death in a government plane. Well, students, that's about it. The rest is up to you. If you'll practice every day, many times, as I have asked you to do, you will become a fine guitar player in a shorter time than you think. Good luck to you from your guitar-playing buddy and neighbor, Doc Williams. Doc Williams, primary C, bass runs on the guitar, side number 3. This is Doc Williams. Let's turn immediately to page 38, students, and we'll start learning the key of C bass runs. Now, the chromatic scale at the top of page 38 will help you to follow my movements on the fingerboard. In fact, get your guitar now and follow along with me. First, let's hit a C chord. Now, we want to make a run first from the C chord to the F chord. We start on the C note on the 5th string. Hold that down with your 3rd finger, of course, as you hold the C chord. You make the run like this. You hit a C note, you hit an open D string, you hit the E note on the 2nd fret, and on the 3rd fret, the F note, and you end up in F like that. In other words, here's the way it would sound in music. All right, we're in F. We got to get back to C, so let's make a run like this from F to C. You make a run right up the D string beginning at F with the 3rd finger like this. In other words, F, E, D, C. Now we're in C again. Let's go from C to G7th like this. Incidentally, we're in waltz time. Now going from C to G7th, we hit the C note, the B note, the A note, the big A bass, and then the G note on the big E string, like this. Now we're in G7th and we must get back to C, so we run like this. We hit the big bass G note on the big E string, then we hit an open A, we hit a B note on the 2nd fret, and the C note on the 3rd fret with the 3rd finger, like this. That's a run from G7th to C. Now let's make a run from C to A7th, like this. Now we start on the C note rather, and then we hit a B note, we hit a B flat note, and an A note, the big bass A. In other words, we run from C right out to the open A like this. That makes a run for us from C to A7th. Now we are in A7th. We've got to go from A7th to D7th to complete the circle of chords. So let's make this run like this, from A7th to D7th. We hit a bass open A, and then we go from that to the B note, and then we hit a C sharp, and then a D, open B, like this, from A7 to D7. Now we're in D7th, we've got to get to G7th to complete the circle of chords, like this. We hit a bass D open, we go to the E on the same string, and then we go down to the F sharp, and then we hit an open G, or 3rd string. Let's get back to D7th and make that run now, like this. D7 to G7. Now a run from G7 to C that you've already made. We're back in C. Now let's make a run from C to E7. This is often done in music, like this. In the E7th chord. Now that was made like this. We hit a C note at the 3rd fret on the big bass A string. You notice it there on the chromatic scale. The C note. Then you hit the open D string, and then an E flat note, and then the E note, and your fingers fall in place on the E7th chord. Here's the way it sounds. Now we must make a run from E7 to A7. So let's make it like this. We start by hitting the big bass E like this. In other words, we're holding the E7th chord, hit the big bass E, hit an F sharp note on the 2nd fret with the 2nd finger, and then hit the A flat on the 4th fret with the 3rd finger, and you finally end up with an open A, bass A. Here's the way it sounds. E7 to A7th run. Now we're in A7th. We must make a run from A7th to D7th. So we do it like this, A7 to D7. We hit a bass open A, then a B, and then an F sharp, and then the D. From A7th to D7th, in other words, like this. Now we hit the same run we hit before from D7th to G7th. from G7 to C. That completes our chords. Now, keep playing your guitar right along with me, and we'll go through the entire sequence of chords as we gave them to you. You play right along with me. Here they are. We'll start in C. We'll make a bass run to F, like this. F to C. C to G7. G7 to C. C to A7. A7 to D7. D7 to G7. G7 to C. Now from C to E7. From E7th rather to A7th. From A7 to D7th. From D7 to G7th. And from G7 to C. Doc Williams Bluegrass Lead Side number 4. On this side of our recording, we're going to show you how bass runs and chords played together make bluegrass guitar lead. Now, bluegrass lead is played easiest in the key of C in songs using the C and G7th chords and always on the first 3 frets. You will use open string chords only, like C, G7th, and of course F, which is only partly an open string chord. You'll use the guitar clamp or capo to change keys for singing, and you'll play bluegrass lead mostly in the key of C. The next easiest key is the key of G, and after plenty of practice, in the key of E. Bluegrass lead is played best in songs using these 3 chords, C, G7th, and F. For instance, the song Jimmy Brown the Newsboy uses only C and G7th. The picture on the wall uses 3 chords, C, G7th, and F. Most gospel songs can be played bluegrass style. Not all songs can be played in bluegrass lead, so you'll have to pick your songs. Let's begin our lesson by turning to page 38 of my Simplified by Ear guitar course. Notice the chromatic scale at the top of page 38. First, we want you to learn this on the 4 wound strings, starting with the 3rd or G string. After hitting the G open, drop your 2nd finger down on the A note. You'll notice it there on page 38. That's on the G string, the A note. You can also drop your finger down on the B flat note. Like that, open. Then we go to the D and drop your 2nd finger down on the E note like this. Open D, drop your finger down on the E note, that's the 2nd finger, and drop your finger down on the F note. Open string first, open D, then the B, open A first, drop your 2nd finger down on the B, open A, and hit your C note with the 3rd finger. Then over on the big bass E, drop your finger down on the G note with the 3rd finger. As a result, you will have something like this, starting again with a G. And let's end up in a C. Our next step in playing bluegrass lead is this. Hold a C chord. Now, do not at any time remove the index finger from the C note on the second string. That's it there. Now, of course, I showed you how to play the blues. Hit the open A and then drop your third finger down on the third fret. Only this time, as you do that, hit the E note on the fourth string. You're still holding your finger there, like this. As a result, you're having harmony. You're hitting the A open and then the C note quickly down with the third finger. And at the same time, you're hitting the E note on the fourth string. As a result, you have this. Now, you can do the same thing, of course, over on G7th. Be sure to not remove your index finger from the F note on the first string. There it is. Hit the open E, drop your third finger down on the G like that. Only this time, hit the B note on the big A string like this. As a result, you have harmony and the blues notes at the same time. Now, let's combine the chords with it on the song Jimmy Brown the Newsboy. Now, you'll use only the G, B, C, E, F, and A notes. Plus, of course, the open G, D, A, and E strings. In country style, lead in the key of C mostly, on the bass strings, the four strings, the four wound strings. Now, let's try that a little slower. As you pick the bass lead note, hit the string right below it and you'll generally have a harmony note, like that. Now let's say, for instance, that your voice does not fit the key of C for that particular song. Well, in that case, let's try using the capo or a clamp. We'll put it on the 7th fret, right above the 7th fret, and we have this sound. Now you're in the key of G. And let's play Jimmy Brown the Newsboy quite fast this time. Here are some other variations you can play. You run up the D string from the 3rd fret, like this, to G7th, back to C, and then to end any song, you can always do this. If you will learn what we have shown you on the recording so far, in a short time, you will be able to play bluegrass lead on your guitar on any song. Good luck, students and friends of the guitar.